Move out because you're in the way of a pregnant woman, Alicia said, gently stroking her belly. Wouldn't a pregnant woman have a kinder expression? I wanted to ask, given how malicious Alicia's face looked. I took a quick glance at David. You can sleep in the storage room, he said. Seeing David in agreement with Alicia, my lifelong love for him cooled instantly. Yet a touch of sentiment remained, leaving me a bit melancholic. All right then, I responded. In response to my words, David happily took Alicia's hand. Alicia gazed dreamily at David. Seeing them like that made the melancholy vanish, replaced with anger welling up from deep within. I'll leave by tomorrow, I said. Yeah. Oh, maybe you should stay out tonight. After all, this is now mine and Alicia's home, David said, overjoyed. I nodded slightly before leaving the house. They won't be laughing for long, I thought. After leaving the house, I imagined what was next and cracked a smile. My name is Catherine Taylor. I'm a 46-year-old housewife. Before marriage, I worked intensely, but that was over 20 years ago. Nowadays, I enjoy doing daily chores and sipping coffee, just an ordinary middle-aged lady. But my hobby is investing. I've been doing it since before marriage. Recently, I've been earning significant dividends, treating myself to lavish hotel brunches and spa visits, leading a pretty elegant life. My husband David is 40 years old, a salesman for a major company. He's gained quite a bit of weight and frankly, he's been rather smelly lately, but he's good with words given his profession. He may look big, but I loved him. I felt he should probably lose some weight for health reasons, but he had this cute mascot-like appeal, so I didn't see the need to force him into a diet. David and I have a daughter named Emily. She has inherited David's features, and her slim, almost model-like beauty is complemented by her academic prowess and athletic achievements, even making it to national competitions. Despite her many talents, Emily remains humble and hardworking. It's as if we, the geese, gave birth to a swan. Both David and I dote on Emily, often being told we're overprotective. David has a bit of a weakness for younger women, but he chose to marry an older woman like me and cherish our family. So, I thought a wandering gaze here, and there was inevitable. We lived in a condo we bought around the time Emily was born, but it was getting old and they were considering raising the maintenance fees recently. Amidst all this, Emily decided to share an apartment near her college. At the same time, one of my relatives approached us about inheriting a now vacant house. David and I decided to renovate that house and move there. But who could have known that this would cause issues between David and me, who had been smooth sailing up until then? The condo we had was a 4-bedroom, including a guest room, but the new house is just a 2-bedroom. Although it's smaller than before, considering our retirement, we made it a single story, and it's been very comfortable. One of the rooms, which serves as a study and a guest room, can be divided to make an additional room for Emily if she ever comes back. David started coming home late every night due to work dinners and somehow always found reasons to go out even on weekends. Sleeping next to David, who would come home reeking of alcohol and cigarettes, was unbearable for me, even if we had separate beds. Because of that, even though we originally shared a bedroom, I've been sleeping in the study ever since we moved. When it came time to send out moving announcements, I mailed letters to various places. David isn't good with that sort of thing, so I sent letters on his behalf to his family and relatives. As for me, since my parents have passed away, I simply wrote a brief note and sent it to friends and relatives on my mother's side. I haven't been in contact with any relatives from my father's side because of my half-sister Alicia. Alicia is my half-sister, 14 years younger than me. When I was in 7th grade, my mother passed away, and about 6 months later, my father remarried. Alicia was born to him and his new wife. At the time of their marriage, Alicia was already 2 years old, so I initially thought it was a union of 2 families with kids. About 5 years into their marriage, my father and his new wife were involved in an accident and never returned. At their funeral, relatives from my dad's side told me that he and his new wife had been childhood friends, and everyone had always thought they would end up together. But my mom had set them up through her boss, and my dad felt he couldn't refuse. That left his childhood friend out in the cold. To think that behind their smiles, my dad had a child with his second wife was a huge shock to me. Every time we had a family gathering, Alicia's favorite foods were served. She had brand name clothes, and she got the biggest room all to herself. If she said she wanted to go somewhere, they'd take her immediately. Meanwhile, I was burdened with all the chores from preparing meals to doing laundry. I had to work part-time jobs, and all the money I earned was taken away. I also had a small storage room under the stairs, and I had to beg for even basic necessities. By the time Alicia was in elementary school, she had heard about my mom from the relatives and started looking down on me. I worked several part-time jobs to save money and finally moved out. It was impossible for me to harbor any positive feelings towards Alicia, and I never told her about my marriage or that I had a child. A few weeks after moving, I was having tea and relaxing when the doorbell rang. When I answered, a man's voice mumbled, "Delivery," and on the screen was a person looking down. I thought maybe David had ordered something and opened the door, only to be left speechless. "Oh, Alicia, why are you here?" "Hi, sis. Long time no see. Just thought I'd drop by." While Alicia was wearing the hat I saw on the intercom, she wasn't a delivery person but my half-sister. Without waiting for a response, she walked past me, entered the living room, and sat down on the couch. I hurriedly followed her, standing in front of her, feeling small in her presence. "I figured you wouldn't open the door if you knew it was me, so I used a recorded voice. That's just low." "Geez, you're scary," I snapped at Alicia, who exaggeratedly feigned fear. It was clear she was putting on a show, evident from the smirk on her face. "I came for a visit." "What?" Alicia's nonsensical statement earned a cold response from me. Undeterred, she grinned and began explaining the reason for her unexpected visit. "But sis, you never even told me where you live. I got married, but my husband is always on business trips and it's getting boring. Plus, once my belly starts getting bigger, moving around becomes a hassle, right? Everyone told me to come stay with you." "Just go home. I don't even want anything to do with you." "Well, too bad. I already came here planning to stay with you." Listening to Alicia's audacious words only fueled my anger. Under my breath, I muttered, "Typical of a kleptomaniac's daughter." Hearing that, my anger reached its peak. "Get out. I never want to see your face again." "What's all the fuss about? People outside can hear you," David said. I was at a loss for words, surprised by David's unexpected return at such an odd hour. As I struggled to explain, Alicia stood up and walked over to David, intertwining her arm with his. David didn't seem to mind. In fact, he looked quite pleased. "Oh, Alicia's here. Welcome." "David, my sister was being mean. I thought it'd be nice to stay with you until the baby is born, but is that okay?" "Of course, I'd be thrilled. If you're okay with it, you can stay as long as you want." I was left dumbfounded, mouth agape, watching the exchange between David and Alicia. The closeness between them was more like that of lovers than siblings-in-law. "David, what's going on?" "Sheesh, don't be so cold to her. Are you just jealous of your cute little sister?" David's words left me speechless. I had confided in him about my family situation before our marriage, and yet he dared to say such things. "We have a spare bed in the guest room. You could stay there." "Really? Can I sleep in the same room with you, David? It might be nice to dream with Alicia by my side." "Oh, David, you're so sweet." Their mushy conversation was giving me a headache. Ignoring me, the two of them went to the bedroom, arm in arm, to put away their belongings. But when they didn't return after several minutes, I had a sinking feeling and cautiously peeked into the room. There they were, wrapped in each other's arms. Living with Alicia feels like a dream come true. The baby's thrilled too, living with Daddy. The word Daddy from Alicia's lips stunned me. "David, the father?" David, visibly overjoyed, nodded and embraced Alicia. "Let's ask sis to babysit so we can go on a date." "Yeah, she's good for that, at least." As they kissed, tears streamed down my face as I watched through the crack in the door. From that moment on, they treated me like a mere servant. I complied, but secretly gathered evidence against them. The discoveries I made were shocking, pushing me to consider divorce. One day, Alicia lounged on my favorite sofa and gestured imperiously for me to move. "You're in the way of a pregnant woman." "Get out," she declared, her face twisted with malice as she caressed her belly. Her spiteful expression made me question, aren't pregnant women supposed to look more gentle? I glanced at David for a moment. "You can sleep in the shed." Seeing David side with Alicia extinguished any lingering affection I had for him, yet a trace of sadness lingered. "Fine," I conceded. David eagerly clasped Alicia's hand in response. Alicia gazed at David with adoration, and their intimate moment confirmed any tenderness I once felt was now replaced with profound resentment. "I'll leave tomorrow." "Good. Maybe find somewhere else to stay tonight. This is Alicia and my home now," David proclaimed triumphantly. Unnoticed, I nodded subtly and left the house. "Enjoy your laughter while it lasts." As I stepped outside, a grin crept across my face as I contemplated the future. I checked into a hotel that night and made arrangements for the next steps. The following morning, I arranged for movers and planned a visit to City Hall before returning home that evening. Thoughts of new beginnings and liberated spirits kept me awake, buoyed by a newfound sense of freedom. The next day, I made a visit to the attorney's office before heading home. To my surprise, the moving company had already arrived and seemed puzzled. They explained that upon arrival, the house appeared empty except for a lone cardboard box near the entrance. True to their words, there it was, a small box with a note that read, "Feel free to take it." Inside, my cherished books and cosmetics lay haphazardly, books with bent corners and torn pages. At the bottom of the box lay David's wedding ring. Anger surged through me like a tidal wave. Upon entering the house, I found crumpled bedsheets, pajamas, and underwear strewn everywhere, piecing together what had transpired after my departure. "Please pack all of this for me," I instructed the movers, closing the bedroom door and leading them to the study. Since David rarely read, the study overflowed with books collected by Emily and me over the years. With few clothes to my name, I decided it was time for a wardrobe refresh. In the living room, a note on the dining table caught my eye. It detailed David and Alicia's upcoming 6-day trip abroad, requested house cleaning during their absence, and bluntly stated the divorce proceedings would commence upon their return. His utter self-centeredness left me stunned, yet relieved at the ease of executing my plan in his absence. I had the movers pack all my belongings, leaving David's wedding ring on the kitchen counter. With that, I had departed from the house. After careful consideration, I purchased a cozy one-bedroom apartment near Emily's university, which happened to be on sale. I cherished the solitude it offered. On the day of David and Alicia's return, my phone incessantly rang. Without needing to glance at the caller ID, I calmly answered. "Hello." "Hey, what the hell is going on?" David's voice rang with frantic urgency. Though the reason was evident, I replied nonchalantly. "What do you mean, what's going on?" "Don't play dumb. Our house is gone." I couldn't help but burst into laughter, hearing David's agitation on the other end. After a hearty chuckle, I responded. "Well, it was my house, and I figured if I'm not going to live there, why keep it? We were living there. What about our stuff?" "Oh, don't worry. Everything's safely stored in a storage unit. I'll text you the location and access code." "You've got to be kidding me. Bring back our house now." "You certainly have a unique perspective. The land and the house are in my name, and the money to build it came from my investments, not a dime from you." David seemed to finally recollect the time the house was constructed. When I had consulted with him about whether to renovate or rebuild, he had shrugged and said, "I don't have the money right now. If you want to use yours, go ahead." So I handled all the arrangements and payments by myself, building the house to my liking. However, under Alicia's influence, David had conveniently forgotten these details. "Come on, the baby will be your niece or nephew. Do something about the house. Alicia's in a tough spot." "My niece or nephew? I'd love to meet anyone who's thrilled about a child born from their spouse's affair." "What are you talking about? You thought I didn't know?" It seemed David genuinely believed I was unaware of everything. His confident demeanor quickly shifted. I pressed on. "I've known about your relationship with Alicia since the day she barged into our house. Since then, I've been gathering evidence. Remember that high-end baby monitor Alicia insisted on when she moved in? It's been recording." David was taken aback, uttering a surprised "What?" The baby monitor was one of Alicia's demands upon moving in, an expensive model costing several $1,000s. Initially reluctant, I caved under David's pressure and bought it. However, neither David nor Alicia bothered to check its settings after purchase, allowing me to secretly record everything in the bedroom, even in low light. It captured both of you in bed and everything that happened there. What? That's an invasion of privacy. At least I was only testing the baby monitor's capabilities. It's better than a man cheating with his wife's sister, don't you think? David was speechless. I continued in cheerful tone. "Oh, by the way, I think the mailbox is still there. Can you check it for me?" "The mailbox?" "Yes, I believe something's been delivered." I heard David checking the mailbox over the phone, followed by a sharp intake of breath. "Good. It seems the certified mail has arrived. So, about the payment." "Wait, there's one here for Alicia too. Are you blackmailing my sister-in-law?" "Why not? You both betrayed me, so it's compensation for that. Family or not, no excuses. From now on, talk to my lawyer. Goodbye." "Wait, Catherine." Ignoring David's plea, I hung up the phone. He tried calling repeatedly for about an hour before eventually giving up. It seemed he had contacted his lawyer, who then reached out to me, sounding somewhat weary. The next morning, my new phone rang unexpectedly, bearing the caller ID of a relative from my father's side. I hadn't shared my new number widely, suspecting Alicia had sought their aid. Anticipating a reprimand, I reluctantly began recording the call and answered. Yes? How dare you evict Alicia, who's pregnant? Apologize to her immediately and offer her a new house as compensation. Why should I apologize to the woman who had an affair with my husband? Whatever Alicia told you, she's the one who owes apologies and compensation. Like father, like daughter, you can't trust the child of a kleptomaniac. You're right, she's the daughter of a man who betrayed his wife and had a child with his mistress. Blood ties don't change the fact that she's foolish enough to fall for her sister's husband. Must run in the family. What? Yes, and tell Alicia to steer clear of me from now on. Not that she'll have the chance. Their words continued, but I ended the call. Finally voicing my pent-up emotions felt liberating. I immediately called my lawyer, resolved to summon Alicia and David. Revenge was far from over until I witnessed their stunned expressions. We convened at the lawyer's office. Alicia looked incensed, David sullen. It was clear neither felt remorse. I never expected my sister to be so money-driven. This is unbelievable. If I'd known you were this greedy, I wouldn't have married you. I feel deceived, Alicia exclaimed. Their self-centered remarks left me more bewildered than angry. I laid out divorce papers and alongside them, another set, the marriage license. I can reduce the settlement if you sign these. If signing these means less payment, give them here, David said, snatching the pen and signing. Alicia smirked and signed too. I gathered the documents into a folder, offering them a satisfied smile. I'll submit these to the county office, I announced confidently. Did you forget, sis? I'm already married. They won't accept it, Alicia countered. Oh, don't worry about that. You're already divorced, I replied calmly. What? Alicia's face froze in disbelief. I explained further. The divorce was finalized in mediation yesterday. I didn't know about this. Well, you kept ignoring your mail. There were several summonses. Your ex-husband mentioned that he's planning to contest paternity for the child. What? Beside a stunned Alicia, David seemed oddly satisfied. And why not? If they wait out the restriction period, he can marry Alicia. It's a dream scenario for him. I smiled innocently at David. Raising another man's child will be quite a challenge for you. What? The baby is mine, David protested, his voice wavering. Oh, you didn't know? How unfortunate. The baby Alicia is carrying actually belongs to her main boyfriend, a club promoter. Club promoter? David turned to Alicia sharply, who avoided his gaze, guilt written across her face. Seeing her reaction, David realized the truth. He paled visibly, shocked to the core. Between the compensation and child support for another man's baby, you're going to have your hands full. Good luck with that, I remarked coolly. Catherine, let's start over. I was wrong, David pleaded desperately. Emily's still here, just... David's plea was cut short as the door to the lawyer's office swung open, revealing a furious young woman storming in. David went pale at the sight of her. Emily, I gasped, surprised to see her there. Dad, you're the worst. How could you hurt Mom like that? I'm done with you. From now on, I'm living with Mom. You and that woman can just disappear. Emily's voice crackled with anger, a side of her I hadn't seen before. David stood frozen, while Alicia, insulted and shaking with rage, faced Emily's outbursts, unable to respond. Who's the loose woman now? Chasing after your sister's husband and cozying up to your main boyfriend, the club promoter. Are you out of your mind? I delivered a final blow to Alicia, leaving her speechless. But his house and car, Alicia attempted to defend herself. But I cut in. Oh, they're mine. I bought them with my stock dividends. We use them together. But in case of divorce, they're not his. A guy making just $3,000 a month can't afford that kind of lifestyle. $3,000? Alicia's face went pale, the reality of David's financial situation sinking in. David looked down in embarrassment. Anyway, good luck with everything, I concluded, taking my lawyer and Emily with me as I left. That evening, having dinner with Emily after so long was a true pleasure. I filed for divorce shortly afterward. By the time Alicia's waiting period for remarriage had passed, David and Alicia had also submitted their marriage license. Interestingly, it bore witness signatures from both me and Alicia's ex-husband. It turned out David had been having an affair with Alicia at work, even embezzling travel expenses for their secret getaways, which cost him his job when the company found out. Rumor has it he's now struggling with part-time jobs, barely making ends meet. Alicia, left to care for the child, found herself dumped by her boyfriend when he learned of her financial troubles, spending her days in tears. She pursued David out of jealousy, driven by my early marriage and children. Believing she could profit from David's prestigious job and income, Alicia falsely claimed her boyfriend's child was his, hoping to extract money from both him and her ex-husband. She intended to shift child-rearing responsibilities to me while indulging in clubbing. Now shunned by the family, Alicia attempted brief part-time work, but couldn't maintain it. Reports have them living together with the baby in a cramped one-room apartment. Meanwhile, Emily thrived in college life, her happiness evident even with a same-sex partner as her roommate, which I accepted without hesitation. For myself, life unfolded peacefully on stock dividends post-divorce. Surprisingly, I grew closer to Alicia's ex-husband, who initiated outings and affectionately transitioned from sister-in-law to calling me Catherine. Recently, his message hinted at an important discussion, leaving me oddly restless tonight, despite tempering expectations. Sitting at my vanity, I felt a flush of excitement, reminiscent of youthful infatuation.